Good evening, everyone. My name is Norma, and welcome to my first video on my channel. Now, I'm very excited to start this video, and it's all because I've been meaning to do it for about a week, and I have not been able to do it. Basically, I've been between clients and family, and then I woke up kind of on, I would say a little bit agitated. Uh, my higher self pulled me by the ear this morning and was like, if you don't get this video out today, we are going to be having a problem. And da da da, now I'm here. So, in this video, I want to do a little quick introduction of what I do, a little bit of how I got into spirituality or magic, what I love doing, what I'm offering, and the type of services I do. So, I fell in love with magic when I first time watched Wizard of Oz. Something about it. I remember telling my parents I want to be a witch. And of course, I grew up in a Christian home. So for them that was a big no. Hell to the no. That's not happening. You're not going to be a witch because no. And then of course they went through the whole shebang bang as to why being a witch was not a good choice. Of course, I was never happy, you know, growing up in a sense of going to church. Oof, I got so many ass whoopings from my father every single time he caught me passed out somewhere in church. Um, and of course, the only time that I used to enjoy church was, the kids, when it's the kids' day, where, and it was because I was drawing or I was watching some movie, or we were just doing something fun, even though it was Bible related. It was the simple fact that it was just fun, and I was coloring or watching a movie. We were just doing some form of activity, and I think I can generally say, I think those were like the times that I wasn't sleeping. But yeah, of course, as I got older and got into my teen years, I was able to go to the library, and that's when I started going to the library for hours. Like it got to a point where my mother's like, "What is in that library that you're just there for hours ongoing?" And I used to tell her, "Mom, like I already read these X amount of books. Like, give me a break. I'm just reading." And it was true. I've always been a bookworm. I've always, even to this day, I still read. So that was like my excuse for her to get off my case. It's like, hey, I'm in the library, so I'm doing anything, I'm just reading. And then I finally, once I moved out of my parents' home, is when I was like, okay, now I can go ahead and follow what my heart is telling me. I did fall a little bit with the Christianity concept. Um, it wasn't for long. I would say it took me about a year or two, close to 2 years. There was that internal battle with the concept of the Christianity that I was taught with, and then what I loved and what I was passionate about. And it was a very internal battle. And then it just got to a point that my higher self was like, listen, it's whether, and when I say my higher self, it was more like it was like that little voice subconsciously that was like, listen, it's whether you want to continue with Christianity where I was not happy, I was not fulfilled. I felt something. I could not stick to the norms of the Bible. I believe throughout the years that I've looked at every other religion, studied it, every religion has its truth, meaning that there is a form of truth in every single religion. What I do not agree with is how things are manipulated or how things have been manipulated to meet a specific agenda. That is something I do not agree with. You know, there is so many things that I have learned throughout my years that is basically is the same concept in a lot of religions. It's just worded differently. There has been a lot of things that have been proven in so many religions, but there's have been a lot of things that have been switched and flipped to manipulate us beings, and that is what I do not agree with. So I will respect you for whatever it is that you practice or do, as long as you respect me and mine. It will be okay. And if this is not something that you're into, then by all means, thank you for taking your time and watching my video, and have a good one. Now, going back to what I was saying. There was a battle, and then I decided that spirituality was where my heart was. And it still holds true to this day. I, throughout the time of reading, I didn't know what type of witch I was. There was something, when you start on your own and you don't have proper guidance, you don't know who to go to, where to go to, what to do. You're just reading books. You're looking here and you're looking there. Well, what are you? What do you really need a label as a witch or as a spiritualist? Do you really need a label? And I was just going through these commotions and what I love. What do I love? I'm a very eccentric person, and I'm a very chaotic person in nature. I intend to be rebellious. I look I look calm on the outside, but internally I can be very chaotic. My surroundings, can feel relaxed, soothing, but if there's something bothering me, I can be very chaotic. And I've always been the type of person of why, well, why this? I can't conform to one thing. Like, I've always been the person that your mind is limitless. Why am I going to limit myself to just thinking that it's just this is the only thing that is right? So throughout my years, I've always practiced magic in different forms, in different ways, in different perspectives. But my question always was, well, what kind of witch am I? So I decided to go with being a Wiccan. And then from there, I made, I will be honest, I made so many mistakes. The biggest mistake that many of us do, and I'm pretty sure that many of you guys can relate, is working with entities, working with spirits, uh, or what people call entities, deities, um, even some that are drawn to the darker aspect of the Goetia. And you don't know anything else. All you know is that you want to do magic and you want to work with the spirits, but then you realize that you're doing all of this and nothing is working. What you think nothing is working, or it does end up working, but then it backlashes. And now you don't know what the hell to do. So I've been there. I know what that feels like. And it did a number on me for a long time. So my videos are going to be are for beginners, but it also could be for those that have been working spiritually for a long time and they still feel lost they still have not been able to find their way, and they just don't know, okay, I've been doing magic or working on my spirituality for so long, and I feel like quitting, or I, I just don't know. Part of me, I want to continue, and then the other part of me is like, but nothing is happening. Well, this is what I am here for, because I've been there and it took me a long time, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes. Throughout your years of working with yourself or spiritual, you will find your path. You'll realize that you'll start one path, and then you realize that this is your path is over here, and this is where you're supposed to be. I started as a Wiccan. I ended as a Luciferian. So, and between all of that, I went through a lot of trial and errors. And I want to guide you in different ways for you to find your own path safely. What they call in manifestation the path to the least resistance, right? Okay. So, when I do some of these videos, I work a lot with attunements. Now, for those that do not know what attunements are, I'm going to give you an example. A lot of people have heard of Lilith. Just an example. Let's say I send you a chi ball and I tell you of the attributes that Lilith has that you can also imbue within your energy. Basically, your energy, her energy becomes one. You do not control the spirit. You just pick up some attributes from Lilith, whether it's confidence, sensuality, whether you want to be tantric, you want to be sensual, you want to be exotic, if you want to just build that aura feel of authority, then you can, activate the attunement of Lilith. You let the energy work through you while you visualize how you want to feel today or feel for that moment. And they just let the energy work through you until that energy activates. And then you will notice a shift. There's a shift, there's a change. And it's like, oh, it's for those that have worked attunements will know that, every energy has its own feel. So always be mindful. Of course, attunements is one of those things that you also have to build a relationship with it. For example, there are an attunement that it took me months. When I say months, it took me months to actually see that it was doing something, because it is a relationship. You cannot, no, I mean, it has happened. You cannot meet with who you think that you can have a relationship with, and then you have 4 of his kids 2 days later. Like, that's not how it works. There is a relationship. You got to get to know the spirit, the entity that you're working with, or the energy itself. Get to know about it, to feel. Actually sit down with the attunement and feel, get to know how it feels on you. How does it mesh with your energy? And then work with it, because it works with you, but you have to learn to work with it. And it can take time. There's some attunements that you feel it right away, and you're like, oh, okay, I got you. And then there's some that are very subtle. They're very soft, but then when it hits full force, you're like, oh, wow. And I did not realize that all these changes was going on. I just thought that nothing was going on, but then when you look at everything that's been going on in your life for the moment that you've been working that attunement, you'd be like, oh, it has been. I just never noticed it. So, attunements. I work with attunements. I also work with the tarot, and I also work with subliminals. Now, subliminals are a little bit different. For those that have heard subliminals, I do not depend on subliminals. I use subliminals specifically for certain things. For example, if I have a chatty mind, I have a chatty mind, I intend to use subliminals. If for whatever reason I want to do a spell or I have a spell to do for a client, and it's not that I don't want to, is that I cannot align my train of thoughts with the energy that I need to imbue, then I use subliminals for that. So that I can align myself with the intention that I need to do a spell with. And then I go from there. These are services that I have been doing at home. So again, having a good amount of clientele, I decided after having a suggestion to, hey, why don't you make an online shop? Offering your attunements, your servitors, um, your sigils, and your bremelins. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and do that. However, for the attunements, it is something that I also want to offer it here. So on some of the videos, I will be offering free attunements. Now, the free attunements is not like the attunements that you find in YouTube. The Reikis, there's your Reikis, there is your third eye attunements, then there is your Arcturian attunements, and there is, the Cosmo attunements. No, these attunements are completely different, and it's not something that I'm just gonna go into, onto live, or that I will make a video about and just do an attunement in general, like music wise or meditation. No, these attunements work in a form of chi ball. So whenever I do a video, or if I do decide to do live, for example, the first 5 people, 10 people, whichever my guides tell me, because I'm going based on my higher self and my guide. So if my higher self and my guide tells me, okay, you're going to be doing this video, and the first 10 people that sends you an email, or the first 10 people that writes in your comments, they'll be the ones to get the attunement. Now, the attunements is not something that is a must, but it helps a lot. It helps along the way in your journey, but it's not necessary. But it is something that, again, it helps. It's not something that it will not hinder your work. It will always enhance what you're doing. And then, of course, for like sigils and servitors or abramelins, I work with the sertolian energy. So it's a little bit different, and that's something that I guess I'll talk about it in a different video, because it is a different type of source that that is worked with, but it is something that can be worked with a lot of people. So it's not like a servitor that is created just for you. No, this servitor was meant to work with multiple people. But if you don't know the specific verbiage for them and how to activate them and what you need to do, this servitor basically won't do anything for you. So it's done very, very different. Now, one of the things about my higher self is it wants to do an introduction, and this is like something that basically I dreamed about last week. I wanted to do an introduction into what would you get from watching my videos, what would you get from watching my content, or even doing what I would put. So it's something that has been fighting with me, that I've been wanting to do. So here we go. Yes, I know. Okay. Because so okay. So the first card it is the Hermit. Okay, the Hermit. It's quite interesting because the Hermit is about looking within, introspective. Sometimes you got to turn your back into the society and look within you. Everything that you're looking for, by the way, is always within you. There's nothing that you need to look outside of you because the answers are here, are here, are here. So it's kind of interesting that for the type of content that I want to put, it's it's interesting that the Hermit shows up as the first card because I can still agree with my higher self there. And then for the second card, I got the Eight of Swords. Ooh, so with the Hermit and the Eight of Swords, interesting conversation because I did state it earlier in my video that when I the way I started magic was all wrong and I had to work. You have to work within yourself first. If you don't know anything about you and you don't work within yourself, the magic is just going to be that. Your spirituality work is just going to be just that. You're not going to be able to learn to grow. So seeing the Hermit and the Eight of Swords is letting me know that working through my videos, working with me, you're going to be faced that you will learn to face your fears. You will learn to let go of your fears. You will learn to analyze your fears. You will learn to let go of those fears. And I think that is a beautiful message when it comes to from my higher self. That this is something that everyone needs before going deeper into any form of spirituality. So it's kind of interesting that that card popped up. And the third card, the Valet of Goblets. Now, I like that card because it lets me know that once I'm able to help you break down those walls to help you understand yourself, then guess what? You are free to express. You are free to be you. You are free to connect. You are free to create. You are free to do anything that you want to do. And it's always the beginning of something. And when you start something and then you start learning about something, it creates passion. It creates something that you've never thought that you had that can awaken within you. So I am I guess I'm very excited to teach you guys what I know, to help those, that are lost, to help you find the light, or maybe help you with answers, finding answers that you've been looking for. So I am going to cut this short because honestly and truly, I was not expecting to create, I guess, such a long content. I was really hoping to try to make it as short as possible, but here we are. So again, I want to thank you for taking your time in listening and watching this video. And until next time, peace and blessings. Have a good one.